my Beyond Boundaries FL followers. Welcome to part 2 of credit cards.
Well, there's more to it. It's more about credit cards, but anyway,
more about credit cards. But listen,
so might anyway, help you out. We're going to talk about spending behavior. Okay. Part of it. There's more about it than spending behavior. Of course, we're talking about credit card agencies and stuff like that and everything else. But this is part 2. We're continuing from part 1. So we spending behavior. From the notes I got, is the rewards you get for spending higher volume. Okay, many cards users carry balances which creates interest revenue. Okay, not for you, for the bank. The perks are funded by merchant fees and overall systems profit, not free money. So the rewards that you think are getting that are really free, you're paying it through interest. The same thing with anything that they offer you. Anything is really not free. It's paid by the interest that you pay and everything else. So like I said, when you swipe the card, when you tap the card, when you insert that chip, in milliseconds, whole bunch of companies are getting paid in pennies. But then the thing is, so you figure the pennies, how they're making all that money, because it's not you that have the credit card, it's millions and billions of people that have credit cards worldwide. So and we were talking about how credit scores were in the last episode also. Well, let's talk about the big 3. You know who the big 3 are? No, it's not Ford, it's not Chevy, and it's not because you mentioned the big 3, people think about the card companies here, like in Michigan and stuff like that.
It's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Right. They do not lend money, but they shape how money is used on everybody else. Now, all credit companies don't use all 3. Some of them use just 2, maybe even 1. Okay, but what you're gonna really find out is how this works. Now,
the cars company use all 3, because I've gotten from 3.
But all 3 of them. It depends, because by 1, if they go with the first one and they really satisfied with those numbers, they don't bother with the other 2. Then true. They look at the other 3, and this is really in a way is your benefit, believe it or not, because even though I don't like the way car dealers work, it works in a way beneficial for you, because let's say, for example, you do Experience and they got you on a 680, right? But then you go to Equifax and they got you a 720, and then you go to TransUnion and they even have you at 725. They're going to go with the TransUnion one because that will get you approved by more banks, which has more options for you. But of course, they're going to look at which one pays them more commission. So they're going to suggest, go with this bank. But really, because they know it's going to pay them more commission. But you have a right to say, no, I want this one. Okay, so you got to remember, you got to step up. Don't stay quiet with anybody. Okay, so anyway, so they don't lend money, but they shape the way anything goes, right? So they collect your borrowing history, they track your payment history and your behavior across for years, not just months, right? And then they align those scores by lenders. That's going to be used by lenders, actually, right? So those scores is kind of like an average, kind of like an algorithm that a lot of people use online to get their videos, to be shown more and stuff like that. Let's use that analogy. But it's a system that is monitored and is Big Brother in a way. Like we were talking in the last episode, it's like stalking. Yeah, but it could be stalking for good if you know how to use it for your advantage. Excuse me. So why lenders react with certain behaviors that might scare them? Well, they react because they see financial stress or dependency, like you're depending just on that and you're not, relying on anywhere else on how to manage your life, like how to use your money the right way. For example, you might be paying your rent, you might be paying your light bill, but then you're going on too many trips just like that. There's nothing wrong with living life, but if you're just taking trips because you want that kind of lifestyle where you really can afford it, it's not going to look good. Okay, so you're high risk of default. Same thing, you're spending too much money and you only make so much and the math doesn't lie. You make 80,000, but you're spending 120,000. How you gonna end up paying this off? So, and then it goes into like the missed payments for years because you figured, I missed payments, 1 or 2 months. That lasts for years and it matters because if you miss payment once, you start looking like you're less reliable financially. Okay. They can heavily impact your scoring as well, and even one missed payment can shift the lending decision, just one. Okay, so desperate looking behavior matters. Like, we spoke about it earlier, that you get that card with a big nice, what you call it, limit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you start applying for new credit card applications to get more. You maxing out your cards, and then you like, wait a minute, this person responsible? Why they need 3 70-inch TVs? One shot. So you figured, okay, I pay it, and if I don't, I just let it go, right? They're not gonna lose out. Is it true? Do banks lose out because they're insured if I don't pay?
Well, that's a good one because I want to know.
Okay, well,
because right now I'm not paying one credit card.
Okay, well, they figured, okay, they're insured by the FDIC. Well, the FDIC is to protect you. Okay, the bank are insured, yes, but it's not to say, oh, they didn't pay, I'll just claim it. No, it doesn't work that way.
Because they're still going after your ass, so you can pay.
Well, yeah, they actually sell your account to we call it collection agency.
Yeah, collection.
And even though the collection agency does not get the full amount, they buy it for dollars on the penny. So in other words, let's say your account was worth $1,200. They actually bought that account to recover, knowing they're not gonna get $1,200. So they say, listen, I'll settle with you, because they know that they're gonna get what they pay for and more.
Yeah, so, like right now, I owe this. Let's say I owe this much amount. That's the card I got, a letter. I got a letter saying you owe this much amount. Pay this much, and everything will be fine.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is this. For example, let's say I get a letter or a call from the collection agency. Listen, your original bill was $1,200, but we could settle for $800.
Exactly.
You pay us, $800. We'll work a payment plan and stuff like that. Well, guess what? Really? They bought that loan, the $1,200 loan, for probably $200. They get it at pennies of the dollar, So you can negotiate. You know what? Nah. How about if I give you 5? How about if I give you 4? They'll be like, no, I can't do that. Yes, they can. And they might go, well, let me talk to my manager. Same thing they do with car dealers. No, they can approve it, because what they have is kind of like when you get a lawsuit and your lawyer is negotiating, it's called a pink sheet. On that pink sheet, there's an amount that the maximum they could pay. And when the lawyers are negotiating, that lawyer, that's the insurance company, is going to look at that paper and go, no, we got to go lower. Now, let's say the insurance company is allowed to pay $300,000, but the job of the lawyer is to bring it down, not to pay the minimum possible. And my lawyer, let's say, is going to say, well, I want $275,000, even though it's $300,000 and it's under the cap that they have, right? Well, the lawyer who's working for the insurance company wants to protect this company, because, listen, their injuries are not really like that. Let's do this. He's still strong. Work with me here. Let's do $180,000. Your lawyer knows the value of your injuries, so he's gonna go, you kidding me? No. Minimum is this, back and forth, and that's basically how it kind of works in a way where they're gonna go and kind of negotiate. Let's just put it that way. But when it comes down going, like you were saying, recurring, when we go to the last topic, we was talking about if the banks lose, they lose. They still lose. They can only recover so much. So when they give it to the collection agency, they're not making much, so they still lose. And that kind of hurts us who are paying on time, because it goes into higher APRs, which is annual percentage rates, and even card fees for annual fees. Some companies offer annual fees because you are higher risk, not because it's exclusive. It's because you are higher risk. So they say, okay, I'll give you this card with these rewards and stuff like that, but you got to pay me every year X amount, because you are high risk. So that's to cover those risks and things like that. Okay, so
so the question was, what was your question again? Do banks lose money if I don't pay my credit cards?
Yeah, like in other words, they say you owe $1,200 and you never paid it. Do they lost that money? Oh, they get it back? No, they don't. Not 100% at least. So Anyway, let's go into something else. Let's go into another myth real quick. Credit cards are bad and should be avoided. Yes or no?
Credit cards are bad
and should be avoided.
And should be avoided. I mean, if I can't pay, if I don't have the money to pay, I wouldn't even go for a credit card. I would avoid it.
Credit is important as a whole. And credit cards is a good tool to have if you know how to use it. Yeah. So
I'm not a good user.
Use poorly, you get high interest, debt builds fast, minimum payments keep you stuck longer, and overspending becomes easy, believe it or not. Okay, because you figure, hey, you start attaching, you start thinking, yeah, I could pay it. But you forget maybe you had this other bill, you forget something that could come out of nowhere unexpectedly, and then that's
and sometimes, let me tell you, maybe you were, when you took your credit card, you were a good payer, you paid on time. Things in life happens.
Out of nowhere.
You stay without work. Something happened and you couldn't pay that bill. And then you couldn't pay the next bill. And then you figured out, well, what the hell? I don't have the money to pay. So.
Yeah. So that's what happens. People then get into debt, and it can ruin your life. It can ruin your marriage, your job, even where you live. Because let's say they run your credit to renew your lease, and they don't find you that you're gonna be able to pay. They can ask you to leave. So
that's crazy.
So you gotta. In a lot of states that happens. So use property. You could help build your credit history. You can improve your borrowing power. Okay, like buying a car, or rental homes. They offer fraud protections and dispute systems. Okay, that you could use. That's one of the tools. And they could give you cash back and travel perks at no extra cost.
You know what I also noticed when you're getting a credit card, they offer you an insurance in case something happens, like if death, you stay without a job, illness, and it pays off. But it adds up more money to it, and people get scared and they don't take it.
You gotta read it. Does it pay everything?
Yeah.
Might not. It might. That's why you have to read specifically. It depends on the company.
The problem today is that people don't like reading.
You're right. You're 100% right.
I don't like reading. I just go it says, sometimes we sign things, read and sign at the end, and we just.
And she gets mad at me because even in the hospital that could be there forever. I've been there. I read it because things change. So I'll be reading and I'm scanning for certain words. I already know what kind of words to look for. And I'm like, oh, wait. And I read that sentence. Like yeah. So.
And sometimes you have these the workers on the other side. They tell you, oh, you're gonna sign here. This tells you, and they're telling you what you're signing for. Now, should you trust this person that's telling you that?
I mean, yeah, in a way. So anyway, let's go into quick. Now, remember, we were talking about paying your cards on time, even earlier and stuff like that. Okay, there's nothing. This is still correct. Okay, but let's go into what credit score does not reward you. Not credit cards. Credit score does not reward you for paying interest. Credit score does not reward you for paying interest. But what actually matters is on-time payments. Okay, low credit utilization, which was I was saying. Okay, long account history. Okay, carrying a balance. Okay, does not boost your score.
Yeah.
Let me repeat. Carrying a balance does not boost your score. It does cost you interest. Okay. Can increase risk of debt growth. Okay. We were talking about that. That people then start saying, yeah, I can buy, and then unexpectedly, God forbid, something happens that it could be an accident, a death in the family, anything, and then you're stuck with that debt plus the additional debt that you got to handle. Okay, so a small balance trick is really just misunderstood rumor that benefits lenders, not the borrower. Benefit lenders, not the borrowers. Okay, so closing a credit card always helps you, right? We spoke about that last episode.
Closing.
If I close my credit, if you close your rooms to go, would that help you?
No.
Exactly. We touched that in the last episode briefly. People think that closing counts simplify things but credit score doesn't always agree. Closing a card can reduce your total available credit. Total available credit. Okay. Increase your utilization ratio, which means that by having that card closed, that's why I'm against store cards. I'd rather use a regular credit card. It would say, okay, that's one less thing that they're going to be managing. So, it's going to bring you down. Okay. Shorten your credit history over time and slightly impact score stability. Okay. Sometimes it makes sense, like removing temptation, but from the credit card system perspective, it can accidentally tighten your score profile instead of improving it. In her situation, she's stuck because it's a furniture store.
Yeah.
That's why no store cards.
Now, I want to know something. Mm-hmm. Let's say Firestone. Mm-hmm. If I have a balance with them that I can't pay for whatever reason, is it? Yeah. If I pay this balance, if I pay it on, if I pay the balance, maybe in parts, in months, will I be able to use this Firestone card?
Do you still have it? Is the account actively open?
Yeah.
If it's actively open, yes. If it's closed, but you still have to pay it, no.
Okay.
So, it's another myth that we're gonna give. Myth is all credit card scores are the same everywhere?
Well, it depends on Experian, TransUnion, and...
No. All credit scores are the same everywhere. Not companies.
No.
I'm not talking about companies. I'm talking about scores. Not true. Even though the system looks unified, that all the same system, it works the same way and things like that. They get your information, they record your credit, and they give it out. No, because if it was, that every company would give you the same exact score, and they don't. So, what lenders don't all see the same numbers. So this is why they use different score modeling. For example, they can use FICO or VantageScore. It depends on the company. Mm-hmm. One company can use both, but one company can use one or the other. And there's different versions of each model on top of that. Mm-hmm. And so data timing from each credit bureau also has to do within. Okay, so there's different scores for different lenders and different approval outcomes that comes with, of course, based on internal risk formulas. So it's interpreted in different ways. Now, let me ask you something.
Okay.
Which is the best time to apply for a credit card?
The best time?
Mm-hmm. The best time in the year. From January to December, which is the best time to apply for a credit card?
You want a month or you want
a season or whatever?
Winter.
Why?
Because nobody goes out to the stores because it's cold and there's in the house stuff.
Yeah, but you have Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's.
Okay, so summer.
Why?
Because people are on the beaches and they don't...
And they have vacations and they buy. So what else?
Spring.
Graduations.
Oh weddings. My God! Then there is no.
There is none. People say, "Oh, I'll get it like at Christmas time because I'll get approved more because stores want me to buy."
Yeah.
Theoretically, that could be wrong because the credit card company can also look at it as,
she's gonna go crazy.
So, what's the best time of year? There isn't one.
No, because then it comes spring and it's like graduation. She's gonna go crazy.
It all comes down to your score and basically your history, your financial history. That is what it comes down to. There is no better year. Don't get trapped into stores. Listen, it's Super Bowl Sunday coming and we got a great deal with no interest for 12 months, 24 months. No, that doesn't exist. You're paying for it. Trust me, you're paying for it. Listen to me. If you don't believe me, do yourself the research and look deeply into it. But don't look at, the store sites, the company sites. No, look at it by independent sites. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know if Consumer Report they're very independent. They don't get paid by anybody. I don't know if they do anything with credit cards, but if you could find an article with them, those are one of the sites I would count on. But make sure it's Consumer Reports, not like a third party that giving information or something like that. So, what do you have any questions about anything that I've been talking about, or?
No, I kind of
I'm gonna go into a little
said
more.
It. I think I've said it in the other card in the first episode.
Excuse me. Oh, because you took notes?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, basically, let me see. Because I took notes of this. This is like, took me a week to find out by different, and we call it resources and stuff like that, to make sure. Let me see what it says.
Do you guys have any questions? I mean, you can write it down.
Yeah, write it down, comment. Yeah, anything that's not there, write it down. Basically, I know this isn't live, it's recorded, but still. So let's talk about high risk real quick. Even though we mentioned certain things, but we spoke about desperate behavior patterns, which is rapid applications, sudden credit expansion, maxed out cards, and so on. We spoke about the missed payments, how it's gonna
it stays on your report for years.
Yeah, and the long-term reliability issues really that it can cause, right? And the signals that happens with high utilization as well as financial stress. Again, believe it or not, it does affect your life in so many ways. Okay, so
first of all, it's in your mind.
Some people don't care. Some people don't care. So let's go with a quick another myth. If I go default or bankrupt, banks take the loss. We spoke about that briefly, but you gotta remember one thing: that the system still distributes the risk. Okay, that's one thing I didn't mention before. It still distributes the risk. So don't think that because you claim bankruptcy, you're gonna be all good. No. Also, it depends how much and for what you claim bankruptcy. Like, for example, I wanted my bankruptcy just to be the medical, but the judge said, no, I got to clear you completely because you actually did attempt to make payments. You just didn't say, forget about it. You were trying to still make payments. Even the same month that I went to see the judge, they saw payment history because I was trying to take care of what I'm responsible, what I'm accountable for. But they just said, no, I'm going to give you a clean slate because you actually attempted. That way you could, continue life, debt-free. And I appreciate that because, he didn't have to do it, but he did because it was honest, so. I was going to get into also that be careful when you use those, I think they call NFCs, these devices, because people can actually get your information.
Which one?
I put it on the screen. I think it was NFC. It was when you have your card in your wallet and they can actually get your information. They also could get it through when you're gonna gas up your car and stuff like that through your card.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. Tapping is the safest way. Besides swiping,
but not all the gas stations have it.
No, but the thing is though, and you still gotta be careful that still could get it, because what I do is I actually move and shake that part where you put the card to see if there's anything, because what they do is they literally apply on top the original. So I go like this to see if anything comes out. Yeah, because it's so easy. I went through identity theft once and it was horrible. And let me tell you how I went through identity theft. When I was getting divorced, I got my apartment. And I applied for the utilities, Con Ed in New York. They told me, you can't have more than two. Now, my father and me have almost the same name, but not really. So I thought, no, my father was deceased. I don't have that same account and stuff like that. No. You have one in Boston. Boston? I've never been to Beantown. So I was like, yeah. Make a long story short, I had to prove like crazy with every ID and mail that I had possible to show that it wasn't me. And it took me about over 24 hours before they can say, okay, they cut off that account. Whoever was living in it didn't have any light. Okay. And they then put the account for me. Now, the funny thing and ironic thing, it was a woman using a male's name to open an account. So you guys got to be real careful with stuff, okay? buy yourself a shredder.
Okay. I have a shredder.
Buy yourself a shredder. Don't just go and throw in any information. Buy yourself a shredder, and the information you think might not be there is there. For example, like in the bottom, I don't have one, but in the bottom, let's say here, this does have it.
Do you have any physical?
No, not even that. There's some numbers. Okay, I'm gonna show. No, can I show that? But anyway, if you look in the bottom, okay, like something like here. This is actually Capital One Bank. You see in the bottom, there's some writing. That doesn't have any information, but you see those numbers right there in the corner. Those numbers could be codes that, if for the right scammer and the right user can get, not that, but that's because those are printing codes. Like it tells the company what pamphlet that is, but it'll have information like that, and with that, they can open up a whole world. Well, actually, they can open up a whole can of worms. So be careful what you have, because if you think it might not mean something, it's better to shred it than go through hell. So that's why I suggest this is information that I'm sure you knew some of it, but not everything, especially how credit cards and banking companies work, how it involves so many people. Because if you think it's not important, it is, because you want to know where your money is going to. You want to know where the fees are going to. Yeah. You want to know which card to apply to have less fees, and so on and so on. So take your time. Don't rush. You don't need to rush. I waited a year. I could have been approved earlier. I waited more than a year, actually. Is a year, to be exact, is a year and 7 months. Almost 2 years. That I waited because I wanted to wait. And I got the best outcome out of it. I'm going to apply for one more card, not now. Later on. And the reason I'm going to mention before we close, I'm going to go order a Discover card. Why? Okay. Discover Card is one of the very, very few companies, if not the only company. I might be wrong. I think American Express runs the same way. Let me give you exact information. Let me look for this right here, but I'm going to type and tell you at the same time.
You know how to do that?
Yes.
Type and talk at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's stuck in the
Discover Card has a system where it doesn't have to rely on anybody. Wait.
You can't type and talk
yes,
at the same time.
Wait. You confused me.
Only woman can
Stop. Okay. Discover was bought by Capital One recently. Okay. Why? Because Discover Card has something that Capital One didn't have at the time. Now, Capital One is a powerful banking company. Okay. It is, but other banking companies also rely on other companies like Discover, because Discover has what is called Rails. And these Rails is a payment network system that moves data and money between banks. Capital One and other companies don't have that. Now Capital One has it because they bought Discover. So other companies, what they do is that, okay, I have this, I'm charging this person, it's going to go through here. Remember with part 1, we were talking about the system where it goes through and stuff like that. Well, what happens is that Citibank, I'm using this as an example, Citibank or Chase or Wells Fargo has to go through another company to make those rails continue for the transactions and stuff like that. It's like rails like on a train, let's say. It's a whole, imagine a roller coaster or something like that, and it's going through this whole system, this financial network. Discover Card is self-sufficient. Now that Capital One bought them, now they don't need to rely on anybody else. They're self-sufficient when they do everything. So they got this invisible, let's call it like a roller coaster, ride or whatever, the rails and things like that, like a highway list, if you want to look at it that way. It's like Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, partly different models, depending, right? Because American Express is also like a brand, as well as Visa and MasterCard, okay? They're not banks. Just in case you didn't know this, they're not banks. They lend you the money, they store your balance, and decide your credit limit, okay? So communication and settlement between the two banks is how what connects the rails. Okay, your issuing bank gave you the card, decides your approval or your decline, carries your debt. Then the acquiring bank, which is different, is the merchant bank, receives the money, pays the business. Then the network rails. Okay, Visa, MasterCard, Discover routes the transaction, enforces the rules, moves authorization and settlement messages. Okay, so every time you swipe, tap, or basically what happens is that it says, can the person pay this? Okay, then they issue a check. Is it approved? The network is going to say yes or no. Will it settle later because it knows it could afford it? The money then is moved in cycles. Okay, the important twist to this whole thing is though that the network is not moving cash in real time. It's moving and approves. It gives instructions and approvals by then balancing the money later on in bulk settlement cycles. Okay, so authorization versus settlement. The part most people never see is the authorization is instant, like I was talking, in milliseconds. Okay, you swipe, tap, bank says yes or no in 1.2 seconds. The clearing behind the scenes is the transactions are bundled at the end of day. Data is matched and validated. Okay, the settlement, the money moves, actually, it literally moves. Okay, bank transfers net balances to each other. Merchant gets paid minus fees. Remember the fees? I'm talking about the fees. People, these pennies that is all distributed to all these companies is because millions and billions of people that have these cards and things like that, loans, whatever, everybody gets paid. So there's a lot of money to be made. It might sound like pennies is not much, but you got billions of people doing it. So why is the system so powerful? Because the network sits in the middle of it. It touches almost every transaction. It standardizes global payments. It collects fees per swipe. It interchanges the network fees and scales without holding risk like a bank does. Okay, that's why Visa and MasterCard became massive. Okay, they used to be a different card also besides Visa and MasterCard when I was younger. I'm gonna put the link here because I can't the top of my head. I know my father had one, but they closed down decades ago. But they don't let the Visa, MasterCard, and Massive, like I was saying, is they don't lend money, they don't take credit risk, and they just take a tiny cut of everything. You see, tiny cut is a lot. The tiny cut is really big. Okay, so the strategic pieces between now that Capital One has Discover is because a direct issuer like American Express style, meaning it's both card issuer and ran it in its own network, is so sufficient. It doesn't have to rely on anybody. So Discover was a closed loop system trying to compete with open loop giants. Okay, open loop, Visa, MasterCard, bank issue cards, network just connects with them. That's it. Closed loop, Discover, American Express, one company controls more of the system. And if you didn't know that, now you can understand your credit card more. Well, when you're going to apply, going to use it, or just manage your life entirely. So before we leave, this Capital One Discover merger, if you want to call it that, I think it's called acquisition, that was announced. Actually, it was approved last year, sometime last year, I believe, is that Capital One now brings a massive issuing bank power, not only for credit cards, but for loans and banking as a whole. It has a huge customer base already. It's going to have even a bigger one now. It has heavy presence with Visa and MasterCard. Discover brings its own payment network, which is part of them now. And I guess it's going to merge internally. I don't know how that works in a sense where it belongs to Capital One, but maybe trademarking or something, or maybe even brand naming is going to be different. Like it could be maybe a Discover Visa, Discover MasterCard, or whatever. I don't know. Or just Capital One Discover. Whatever it is going to have a good relationship in many segments. And that's basically what it comes out to. Hopefully part 1 and part 2 open your eyes in many ways. But what you might find either boring or monotonous or something like that, if you listen to both episodes and you put everything together, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a real big, more explanation and understanding where you can manage more. I don't know if you open up your eyes a little bit more.
Yeah, I want to go get more credit cards.
That would be irresponsible. You don't want to do that. But like with your own experiences, did it help you understand certain things, like what you're going through and stuff, or?
Yeah, I gotta, like you said, look at what your first and second see in review.
Yeah, the episodes.
Yeah.
Put it together. But I mean, you were part of the episode, so in your, what do you call it? In your, I don't know what you even call it.
In my point of view.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called point of view.
Yeah, whatever. Well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all I have in my mind is want to go get some credit cards.
Don't be responsible with it. Really be responsible.
No, what I have in my mind is trying to get some of my cards, which is only one, I think, when paid off. And I'm gonna see how I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, well, you have options.
Just gotta see how I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, hopefully you get the right options that can help you without you paying, unnecessarily on anything else. But anyway, well, guys, thank you again for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. We hope these 2 episodes help you out one way or the other. Please comment and let us know if you want to know anything else. I'm trying to see if I could give you guys a free PDF. That there's no obligation. Just it's gonna be on the screen. So in case of anything, just follow. If I'm able to get my hands on it, it'll be on the screen. Just follow what it says, and I'll be glad to have it sent to you guys. Okay?
Yep. Let's go out to eat now and use that credit card. Eat good. Eat good. Swipe it. Swipe it.
Guys, don't listen to her. Thank you for hanging out with us. Comment, subscribe, share, like, and most of all,
ring that bell so you know when we're on. Bye.
She loves to ring that bell. God bless.
See ya.